Believe it or not, this is not a fence. It's a beautiful living garden wall that you can build in just a few hours using basic tools for around $350. Stay tuned and I'll show you how to do it. When building something like this, it can be hard to visualize where it needs to go. To help with this, I recommend using some flags to stake everything out. Here, you see me acting like an idiot as I attempt to hype myself up before using the auger to make some holes that will eventually hold the side post of this wall in place. Now I have used this auger in past videos, but it was with a smaller auger bit, and honestly, it worked great. But I have never used it to make giant holes like this before. I think this is the 12-inch attachment, and I have to tell you, this took a little work because this thing is powerful, but it always amazes me how quickly it drills holes. In just a few minutes, I had 12-inch round holes drilled down over 30 inches deep, which is well below the frost line in my area. Now, this is not sponsored, but I will leave a link for this down below so you can grab one for yourself. Once the holes were cleaned out, I needed to start thinking about getting the 12-foot long, 4x6 inch number 2 ground contact rated pressure treated posts set in place. And if the look on my face didn't make this obvious, these were really freaking heavy. And here is something I like to do to support the post before, hey, where is my help going? Anyways, instead of using scrap wood and screws to support the post, I like to use clamps instead, especially since I'm working alone now. This allows me to make adjustments and get everything plumb before adding any concrete. With everything supported, I water the post so it will grow strong and tall. Just kidding. I like to add water to the hole before I make a complete mess with the concrete. Then I keep alternating between adding more concrete and adding more water, constantly mixing and packing in the concrete around the post with a shovel as I go. Now I'm sure it's better to mix the concrete together before putting it in the hole, but doing that sucks, and this is my project, and it turned out super sturdy in the end for what it's worth. And if you're curious, I ended up putting 2 80-pound bags of concrete in each hole. If I'm being honest, I had a vision in my head for how I wanted this garden wall to look, but I don't actually have a plan. I figured the most logical way to build this thing was to start at the bottom and work my way to the top. This piece of 2x6 that I'm screwing to the bottom of each post should provide the support I need to build the rest of the frame on. At least I hope it will. So essentially what I'm going to do is create an I-beam to support the bottom of this fence. So as you can see here, I have my 1x6 deck board. The reason I'm using deck boards is because it's got this nice round over on it and it will give it a decorative look. Then I'm going to take my 2x4s and I'll screw them from the bottom into this 1x6 deck board. And then as you can see here, I've got my 1x6 pressure treated lumber that will be my fence pickets, basically. The reason I clamp this together is because as you can see, this 1x6 is a little bit wider than the 3 of these together. And I just want to make sure that I get it centered to give a nice framed look on each side. I start by making the first half of the beam by snapping a chalk line 7/8 of an inch from the edge of the deck board. This is where the first 2x4 will get attached and will ensure I end up with an even reveal on both sides of the wall once it's finished. And with the first 2x4 clamped in place, I can turn it over and secure it from the bottom with some 3-inch deck screws. Then I take this beam and place it on top of the supports that were attached to the bottom of the post earlier. Double check to make sure everything is level, then screw it in place to the bottom 2x6 support and directly to the post with 3-inch screws. The 2x4 on the back will get attached after the wall boards are installed. Fun fact, I hate measuring because it leaves room for error. To avoid measuring how tall the wall will be, I cut a scrap piece of wood that represents the height of the wall and clamped it in place to the inside edge of the post. Then I take an 18-inch long piece of 2x6, rest it on top of the scrap piece of wood, and screw it to the inside of the 4x6 post. Then I repeat this process on the other post. This ensures everything will be perfectly level and avoids the need to measure. I made the top beam the exact same length as the bottom beam. Doing this ensures both posts stay perfectly parallel from the bottom of the wall all the way to the top. Unfortunately for me, one of my posts was leaning out by about an inch. I had the idea to use a ratchet strap to pull everything together to get the post plumb. Then I attached the top beam to the bottom of the 2x6 support piece and the post with some more 3-inch screws. Here I'm cutting down 1x6 pressure treated boards for the solid part of the wall. Fence pickets may have been cheaper, but remember, I really didn't have a plan when I started. To start attaching these boards, I measure the center of the wall and the center of the first board. Then I line up my marks and nail the center board to the back side of the bottom 2x4 with only one nail. I can use this nail as a pivot point. Then I check to make sure the board is plumb, clamp it in place, and nail it to the back side of the top 2x4 with two 1-inch nails. Then I finish attaching it by putting a second nail in the bottom of the board. From there, I can work my way towards each post, attaching each one with 2 nails at the top and 2 nails at the bottom, checking for plumb as I go. The last 2 boards on each side get ripped down to width before getting installed the exact same way. Finally, I can add a 2x4 to the top and bottom of the back side of the wall to complete the beam, add additional strength to the structure, hide the nails, and give everything a clean finished look. And I suppose you could stop there, but I wanted to add some more detail to the top of this wall using some hog wire. To start, I add another 1x6-inch deck board between the posts to the top of the upper 2x6 supports on each side of the post. Then, using more 2x4s and screws, I create a frame that will hold the hog wire in place. This frame will go around all 4 sides. That's why I called it a frame. And at last, I can cut a piece of black hog wire down to width using a grinder and a cutoff wheel. If you don't have a grinder, you could use a hacksaw or maybe some sort of bolt cutters. But honestly, this Ryobi grinder is only about $50. And is well worth it for smaller jobs like this, especially if you're going to be making more than one of these walls. And once it's cut, the hog wire is simply pushed into place from behind. And just like the front part of the wall, the 2x4 frame is added to the back of the wall, which will not only hold the hog wire in place, but also give the back side of the wall a clean finished look. Wow, would you look at that hammer drill technique? Now that's impressive. You should subscribe right now. The last thing I need to do is cut the top of these posts to length. I decided to leave them 3 inches longer than the top of the wall. Now, I don't know if this is a standard thing to do, but it's my wall and I like the way it looks. When you build your wall, you can do whatever you want. Unfortunately, my circular saw was not big enough to cut all the way through the post, so I had to finish each cut with a handsaw. And boom, with a little stain and black aluminum post top covers, we have a stunning live garden wall that provides a little privacy and a place to attach some flower boxes to. And speaking of these flower boxes, click the video that just popped up on your screen right now. I'll show you everything you need to know to make these flower boxes out of the scraps from this project in under 60 seconds. And as always, thanks for watching.